The galaxy had watched humanity grow from a distance for a long time. Many older civilizations believed humans were loud, impulsive, and far too emotional for real diplomacy. Yet, after humans discovered faster-than-light travel, Earth received an invitation from the greatest political force in the Milky Way, the galactic Concord. To most species, the Concord was a symbol of order. To humans, it felt like standing before a strict and ancient court, a place where every word, every gesture, every breath mattered. Earth chose their best envoy, Commander Armin Vera, to lead this historic meeting. Armin was calm, sharp-minded, and known for solving conflicts with patience rather than force. He wore a simple navy suit with the Earth emblem on his left arm, and carried no weapon, no armor, only trust. When Armin's ship, the Dawn Star, exited hyperspace, the view stole his breath. Ahead of him floated Concord Station, a massive ring structure surrounding a glowing white star. It was beautiful but also intimidating, like a crown on the head of a giant. Thousands of alien ships moved in perfect patterns, each shining with strange colors and symbols. Inside the ship, Armin stood straight, his hands locked behind his back. He felt a heavy mix of responsibility and hope. Behind him, the small crew watched the station nervously. "You will do great, sir," said Lieutenant Sarah, trying to smile. Armin nodded. "This isn't just diplomacy, Sarah. This is our first impression. How they treat me is how they will see all of humanity." Minutes later, a calm robotic voice came through the comms. "Human envoy Armin Vera. You are cleared to enter docking bay 9. Follow escort pattern." 3 sleek alien ships approached and guided the Dawn Star toward a bright opening in the station. As Armin stepped into the docking corridor, he saw aliens of many shapes, tall insectoid guards, pale-skinned diplomats with long necks, and smaller creatures floating inside energy bubbles. They stared at him with curiosity, and something else. A hint of judgment. Armin kept walking with confidence. His boots echoed softly against the metal floor. At the end of the corridor stood an alien official, wearing silver robes that shimmered like liquid. The official's eyes glowed a cold blue. "I am Council Liaison Trell," he said, voice smooth but emotionless. "Welcome, human representative. The Concord awaits your presence." Armin bowed politely. "Thank you for receiving me. Earth hopes this meeting will begin a peaceful future between our worlds." Trell tilted his head slightly as if analyzing Armin like a specimen. "Peace is earned, not assumed," he replied. The walls around them shifted with soft lights as they moved through long hallways. Alien architecture was elegant but strangely sharp, full of angles and cold colors. Everything felt slightly hostile, not in a direct way but in a way that reminded Armin he was an outsider here. Finally, they reached the Grand Council chamber. The doors opened with a deep hum. Inside was a circular arena with towering seats arranged in several layers. Hundreds of alien representatives looked down from above, their faces hidden in shadows. In the center of the arena stood a single platform for the speaker. Armin walked to it alone. The lights focused on him. A ringing silence filled the chamber. The Concord High Speaker, a tall being with crystalline skin, rose from the highest seat. "Human envoy," the High Speaker began, "you stand before the galactic Concord. We govern the peace of this galaxy. Your species asks for recognition, for membership, for protection. These are heavy requests for a world so young." Armin lifted his chin slightly. "Humanity may be young but we learn fast. We grow, we adapt. And we believe in cooperation." Whispers ran through the chamber, tiny sharp noises like clicking metal. The High Speaker continued, "Your species is known for conflict and unpredictability. Some among us believe humans are too dangerous to join our order." Armin took a slow breath. He expected challenges but he also sensed something uneasy. The tone, the looks, the tension. It wasn't just formal strictness. There was dislike in the air, maybe even fear. "Respectfully," Armin said, "every civilization here has a history of conflict. What matters is our future. Humanity wants to stand beside the Concord, not against it." The High Speaker leaned forward, his glowing eyes sharp. "And what can humanity offer? Technology? Hardly. Influence? None. Wisdom? Doubtful." Armin felt the sting of those words but he didn't show it. "We offer effort," he said firmly. "We offer courage. And we offer our willingness to build something better." More whispers echoed around him, some mocking, some curious. Then something unexpected happened. A smaller council member floated forward in a bubble of purple energy. Its voice was harsh. "Human envoy Armin Vera," it said, "this council must review your species' request. You shall wait in the observation chamber until a decision is reached. Armin bowed again. Of course. But as he turned to leave, he noticed something strange. Several guards entered the chamber, more than necessary. Their armor plates slid into locked positions. Their eyes glowed red. A chill crawled up Armin's spine. Liaison Trell gave him an unreadable look. Please remain calm. These are standard procedures. They weren't. Armin was taken to a transparent room high above the station. The observation chamber had no furniture, no controls, just a clear view of space and the star below. 2 guards stood outside the door. He waited. Minutes turned into hours. Armin paced slowly, thinking about every question, every reaction from the council. Something felt wrong, deeply wrong. He had been polite, cooperative, respectful. Yet their answers were cold, their eyes hostile. It was as if they had already made their decision before he arrived. Suddenly, alarms flashed outside the chamber. The guards rushed across the hallway. A group of high-ranking council members ran past, their voices raised in panic. Armin stepped closer to the transparent wall. "What's happening?" he asked loudly. No one answered. Then the lights in the room dimmed, changing to a deep red. A metallic voice echoed through the station. "Emergency session of the Galactic Concord has begun. Voting in progress. Human envoy remains contained." Armin's breath tightened. Voting? On what? He leaned his head against the cold glass and watched the stars glow flicker across the station exterior. In that moment, one thought filled his mind. They were never interested in peace. Something terrible was coming. And humanity had no idea. Armin tried to stay calm. He had faced danger before, but nothing like this. Something about the Concord's sudden actions felt wrong, unfair, personal. Liaison Trell appeared at the chamber door, expression unreadable. "Commander Vera, the council has reached a decision," he said softly, his voice like ice. Armin straightened. "And what is that?" Trell hesitated for a fraction of a second, a pause so brief it almost went unnoticed. Then he said, "You are to be executed. Effective immediately." The word struck Armin like a meteor. Executed. The human mind barely accepted it. He opened his mouth to protest, but the cold logic in Trell's eyes told him it was useless. You can't do this," Armin said. His voice was firm but edged with disbelief. "I came in peace. Humanity came in peace. You cannot." The red lights intensified. Guards entered, armored and massive. Their weapons hummed softly, waiting. Trell's voice was steady. "The Concord has voted. The law applies to all species equally. You have violated interstellar protocol simply by being human." Armin's heart pounded. Protocol? He had followed every rule, every custom, every ceremonial bow. And yet, here he was, facing death, not for aggression, not for war, but for being human. He took a deep breath. Panic would do nothing. Fear would do nothing. Humans survived because they could adapt, survive and fight back. Even now he refused to show weakness. "They may think me weak, but you will see," he muttered quietly. "Humanity does not bow to injustice. Not ever." The guards approached. Armin raised his chin. The last thing he would give them was submission. The execution chamber was stark. Cold metal, bright lights, a single platform in the center. Armin was forced onto it, his arms restrained but his eyes free. From above, hundreds of alien observers watched silently. Not curiosity, not interest, contempt. A high-ranking council member floated forward, crystalline skin glinting. "Human envoy Armin Vera, your species is unworthy of galactic cooperation. Your punishment is final." Armin's mind raced. How could they be so blind? Humans were more than fragile bodies. They were ideas, courage, resilience, and fire. They had survived plagues, wars, and disasters, and they would survive this too. He took a slow breath, steadying himself. This was not the end, it was a spark. A spark that would ignite the world. Outside the chamber, on Earth, screens flickered. Millions of humans stared in horror as the live feed showed their envoy restrained. News anchors stammered. Governments froze. Every nation, for a moment, understood the gravity of the insult. Humanity had not sent a soldier. They had sent a diplomat. And the Concord had executed him. Back on the platform, Armin saw the execution mechanism activate, a beam of energy that could disintegrate him instantly. The air hummed with power. He closed his eyes for a moment. Not fear. Resolve. In his mind he pictured Earth. Cities, mountains, oceans, children playing in sunlight. Humanity's history of struggle and survival. Every human being who had dared to rise against impossible odds. He drew strength from them. Then the beam fired. It passed through him. The platform's sensors confirmed, the human envoy was gone. The Concord observed quietly, believing the matter closed. To them, humanity was humiliated, punished, and contained. But they were wrong. Across Earth, the world erupted in disbelief and anger. Social media, news channels, governments, they all broadcast the event. People refused to stay silent. Crowds gathered. Leaders demanded answers. Scientists analyzed the live feed. Engineers and military advisors began planning. Humanity had been challenged, and the species that had once built cities on fire and ice, crossed oceans and walked on the moon would not accept this. Project Phoenix, a secret initiative hidden for decades, was activated immediately. The project had been a contingency plan for any extreme threat to Earth. Its goal, total retaliation. Military fleets across the globe mobilized. Experimental weapons, gravitation cannons, advanced AI drones, stealth ships, were deployed to secret stations. Human ingenuity, long underestimated, suddenly became the galaxy's greatest unknown. Even ordinary citizens joined the effort. Engineers, scientists, pilots, and programmers worked together with single-minded focus. Every human from every corner of the world felt the sting of the Concord's insult. Every human vowed silently, never again. Back at the Concord station, council members whispered among themselves. "They are weak. Let them stew in fear," said one. But another, older, more cautious member shook their head. "You have seen nothing. Humanity is unpredictable, and they will not forgive." Armin's death, intended as a warning, had ignited the very spark the Concord wanted to extinguish. High above the Earth, satellites picked up alien scout ships approaching. They were sent to assess and intimidate. What the Concord didn't know, humans had already prepared. They had studied the alien ships, predicted their tactics, and built countermeasures. Every move the Concord made would now be met with cunning, precision, and force. Commander Armin Vera's execution would not mark the end of humanity, it would mark the beginning of their galactic awakening. And humanity, they thought, was just one small, fragile planet. They were wrong. The Council's message to Earth was clear: obey or die. Earth's message was louder: try. Humanity will rise. The galaxy had underestimated humans before. And for the first time, Earth would show what it truly meant to fight back. The news of Commander Armin Vera's execution hit Earth like a thunderbolt. Cities froze. Governments paused. Millions of people stared at screens showing the cold, emotionless eyes of the Galactic Concord. For a moment, it seemed that humanity was powerless, a small species crushed by a galaxy that saw them as primitive. But humans were never truly powerless. In boardrooms, parliaments, and secret bunkers, leaders convened. Scientists, engineers, and strategists worked together as never before. Armin's death was not just a tragedy, it was a wake-up call, a challenge that humanity could not ignore. President Lena Malik addressed the world from the United Earth Council. Her voice was calm but firm. "Today the galaxy has made a grave mistake. They have executed our envoy, violated our trust, and insulted our species. But humanity does not bow. Humanity does not break. Humanity will rise." Her words ignited a fire across the planet. Citizens who had never considered joining the military enlisted. Engineers who had never built weapons before began designing them. Scientists who had only dreamed of space research now worked to create tools for Earth's defense and retaliation. At secret bases, fleets were upgraded at an unprecedented pace. Ships once designed for exploration were retrofitted with energy shields, advanced weaponry, and stealth technology. AI systems capable of battlefield strategy were integrated into every command center. Earth's defense, once a patchwork of nations, became a single, coordinated force. Admiral Tariq Khan stood on the command deck of the Horizon Vanguard, Earth's flagship. His eyes scanned the holographic display showing alien movements near the edge of the solar system. "They think this will scare us," he said to his crew. "They think executing Armin Vera will make humanity cower. They are wrong. Every human on Earth will fight. Every human will rise." The crew nodded. They felt the anger, the determination, the unity. They were fighting not just for their planet, but for the honor of humanity itself. Meanwhile, intelligence teams analyzed the Concord's communication networks. Every pattern, every strategy, every weak point was studied. Humans discovered that while the Concord was powerful, it relied heavily on predictable protocols and overconfidence. The same arrogance that had allowed them to execute Armin without fear would now become their greatest vulnerability. In laboratories across the world, scientists worked tirelessly. Gravitational weapons that could bend space, cloaking systems that could hide entire fleets, and drones that could act independently in battle were all developed in record time. Humanity's ingenuity, underestimated by every species, now became a galactic threat. But it wasn't just technology that gave humans strength. It was their unity, courage, and creativity. Across continents, ordinary people contributed in extraordinary ways. Civilians repaired ships, coded battle programs, and trained new pilots. Every human from every walk of life felt a shared purpose. Humanity was no longer divided by borders or politics. They were one species, and the Concord had ignited their collective spirit. The Concord, meanwhile, continued to underestimate Earth. Their scouts had already reported back, describing Earth as a minor threat. They believed that the death of one human envoy had pacified the planet. They did not realize that execution had only strengthened humanity's resolve. Back on the surface, young cadets trained tirelessly. Girls and boys barely out of school mastered fighter ships. Engineers designed improvised weapons from scrap materials. Old veterans shared tactics from centuries of war and survival. Humanity was readying itself, not for negotiation, but for survival and vengeance. Admiral Khan convened with his senior officers in the fleet command room. "We don't just fight to survive," he said, pointing to a hologram of the Concord fleet. "We fight to remind the galaxy that humans are unpredictable, resourceful, and unstoppable. They executed our envoy to show power, but they will see the cost of underestimating us." The first fleet sorties were planned. Covert operations against Concord outposts near the edges of the galaxy would begin. Human pilots trained in virtual simulations, ready to strike with precision. The world watched, knowing that every success or failure would define humanity's place in the galaxy. And yet, the planet did not falter. Instead, it thrived under pressure. Humanity had always been the underdog, the small species that survived disasters and wars. Now, against the most powerful interstellar authority in existence, they would prove themselves once again. In quiet moments, leaders and citizens alike thought of Commander Armin Vera. His courage, his calm, his belief in humanity's potential had inspired them all. Though he was gone, his spirit became the symbol of resistance. Humanity's message to the galaxy was simple. They were no longer naive, no longer weak, and no longer to be dismissed. The Concord might have believed they could intimidate humans, but they had miscalculated. Humans do not break under oppression, they rise against it. By the end of the first week of mobilization, Earth had become a planet united in purpose. Every city, every factory, every laboratory contributed to the preparation. Humanity was awakening, not as a single nation, not as isolated factions, but as a force to be reckoned with. And in the depths of space, scouts reported movement from Earth. Ships that had once been merely explorers were now armed, shielded, and ready for battle. They moved with precision, speed, and coordination, a testament to human intelligence and resilience. The Concord, observing from their distant stations, remained unaware of what was truly happening. They believed Earth's response would be measured, slow, and fearful. They did not understand the indomitable spirit of humans. Earth's awakening had begun. Humanity was no longer a fledgling species in the galaxy. They were hunters, fighters, and survivors, ready to respond to the greatest insult in history. Commander Armin Vera had been executed. But his death had sparked something the Concord could not predict: the rise of a species that would fight, adapt, and conquer against impossible odds. And the galaxy would soon witness the full strength of humanity. Admiral Tariq Khan stood on the bridge of the Horizon Vanguard, watching holographic displays of Concord outposts near the edge of the Milky Way. "Target coordinates locked," he said, his voice steady. "Weapons systems online. Pilots, report readiness." A chorus of confirmations answered him. Human pilots, young and old, veterans and rookies, were ready. They had trained for this moment in simulators, labs, and on makeshift ships. But now it was real. Now it was war. The first strike wasn't meant to destroy the Concord fleet entirely. That would be impossible, at least for now. Instead, it was a calculated blow, designed to demonstrate humanity's resourcefulness, courage, and determination. Lieutenant Maya Singh, flying one of Earth's fastest interceptors, grinned behind her helmet. "They think we're primitive," she said over comms. "They're about to learn the meaning of human ingenuity." The fleets moved with perfect coordination. The stealth ships slipped past Concord patrols, their engines silent, shields masking their heat signatures. Gravitational mines, designed to bend space itself, were positioned near supply routes. AI-guided drones hovered in ambush, ready to strike at the perfect moment. As the first human fleet emerged from hiding, the Concord outpost detected them. Alarms rang across the stations. Alien commanders stared at their screens in disbelief. A small, primitive species had breached the outer defenses without detection. Admiral Khan smiled. "They underestimate us," he said. "And that is their greatest mistake." The first attack was swift and precise. Humans did not fire blindly. They targeted weak points, disabled communication arrays, and dismantled defenses with surgical accuracy. The Concord forces responded, sending fighters and energy beams, but humans anticipated their tactics. Every move, every calculation was countered with speed, intelligence, and creativity. Lieutenant Singh dodged a barrage of energy bolts, looping her ship around a massive Concord cruiser. Using a gravity pulse, she destabilized the ship's trajectory, sending it crashing into another cruiser. Explosions lit the void of space like stars being reborn. Meanwhile, engineers aboard the Horizon Vanguard coordinated attacks through AI. Each strike was synchronized, each pilot guided with precision, each weapon deployed at the exact right moment. The Concord forces, despite their experience and size, were disoriented, caught off guard by humanity's unexpected tactics. Back on Earth, millions watched live feats. They cheered, cried, and celebrated. Humanity had fought back. The species that had been humiliated, insulted, and threatened had now struck the first blow, showing that humans were not to be trifled with. But the victory was not without cost. Several human pilots were lost, their ships torn apart in daring maneuvers. Yet even in the face of death, their bravery inspired others. Human ingenuity and courage turned losses into lessons, and every setback only strengthened the resolve of the fleet. As the first strike ended, the Concord outposts were crippled. Supplies were destroyed, weapons disabled, and morale shattered. The message was clear: Earth would not be intimidated, and humans could fight smarter, faster, and fiercer than anyone expected. Admiral Khan addressed the fleet over comms. "Remember this moment," he said. "This is the start of our response. We strike not out of hate but out of necessity. The galaxy believed they could break us, but they have only forged us stronger. Today humanity shows its power." Lieutenant Singh laughed softly, scanning the battlefield. "Power? They've never seen power like this before." The Concord High Command, watching from their stations, was stunned. They had executed a single human envoy, expecting obedience or fear. Instead, they faced coordinated fleets, advanced tactics, and weapons they had never imagined a primitive species could create. Panic spread among the council. Whispers of fear and doubt echoed across chambers. Even minor Concord colonies began to question their loyalty. The humans had struck with such skill and audacity that some species wondered if siding with the Concord was wise. Humanity, still underestimated, was now becoming a symbol of hope for those oppressed under Concord rule. Back on the battlefield, human pilots continued their assaults. Drones disabled energy shields, gravity-based weapons tore apart supply convoys, and stealth ships sabotaged communications. Every strike was calculated, every movement deliberate. Humans were proving that their greatest weapon was not brute force, but intelligence, unity, and creativity. By the time the first strike concluded, the Concord fleet had suffered heavy losses. Ships were destroyed, defenses were crippled, and the galaxy began to see humans not as weak, but as a force to respect and fear. The first strike was not the end of the war, it was a message, a warning to the Concord: humanity had arrived and they would never submit to injustice. Admiral Khan looked at the stars, at the vast Concord armada beyond. He knew this was just the beginning. Humans would fight harder, adapt faster, and survive against every challenge the galaxy threw at them. Humanity had been underestimated for too long. Now, the galaxy would learn the true meaning of human ingenuity and courage. And somewhere, in the shadows of the Concord stations, leaders whispered. "We miscalculated," they admitted. "Humanity is unpredictable." Unpredictable. That was exactly what humans wanted to be remembered as. Commander Armanvira had died, but his spirit lived on in every pilot, every engineer, every scientist who fought for Earth. His execution had sparked the awakening of a species that would never bow, never break, and never stop fighting. And the galaxy, for the first time, truly understood: never underestimate humanity. The galaxy had never seen anything like it. Humans had struck first. And they had struck with precision, courage, and intelligence that no one had predicted. The news of Earth's first strike against the Concord fleets spread faster than any communication network. Every corner of the galaxy buzzed with whispers of disbelief. In distant star systems, smaller species who had long suffered under the Concord's rule began to question their loyalty. They had seen their supposed primitive neighbors from Earth destroy outposts, disable fleets, and outsmart generations of seasoned Concord strategists. Perhaps they wondered humans were not just survivors, they were winners. Back on Earth, the planet had never felt so alive. Cities pulsed with energy not just from technology but from a sense of unity. Citizens followed every broadcast, every report from the front lines. Pilots, engineers, and scientists became heroes in their own right. Humans were fighting not just for survival but for honor, pride, and vengeance. Admiral Tariq Khan convened a council of commanders aboard the Horizon Vanguard. Holographic maps displayed the Concord's scattered forces and weakened outposts. They thought one strike would scare us, he said. Instead, we've shown them the spirit of humanity. But we are just beginning. We must capitalize on this momentum. Lieutenant Maya Singh, sitting nearby, grinned. We've already broken their first lines. Now, we hit their supply chains, their communications, and their morale. Every system that doubted us will see the cost of underestimating humans. Engineers had developed new technology specifically for this campaign. Gravity pulse weapons could destabilize enemy ships. Cloaked strike drones disabled shields before main attacks began. AI systems coordinated every fleet movement with incredible precision. The Concorde had relied on sheer size, expecting humans to crumble. Instead, human innovation turned weakness into strength. As the human fleets moved deeper into Concorde territory, their victories were swift and decisive. Supply convoys were intercepted. Outposts fell. Small colonies, previously under strict Concorde control, began sending signals of support. Some minor species even joined Earth voluntarily, inspired by the courage they had witnessed. The Concorde Council watched helplessly. Their strategy had relied on fear and assumed weakness. Now the galaxy was witnessing a species rise from a single planet, united and unstoppable. Panic spread among member systems. Questions arose. Could humans actually challenge the Concorde's authority? Could they survive and thrive in this violent and ordered galaxy? High-ranking Concorde leaders debated frantically. One member, crystalline-skinned and ancient, spoke. Our laws are absolute. Yet these humans, they defy logic. They do not follow fear. They follow determination. Another scoffed. It's only luck. Their fleets are small. Their weapons inferior. This cannot last. But the first leader shook their head. It is not luck. It is ingenuity, courage, unity. The galaxy has underestimated them, and that was our greatest error. Meanwhile, Earth continued to mobilize. Every human citizen contributed. Engineers designed faster ships. Scientists discovered new energy applications. Pilots trained relentlessly, inspired by every story of human courage on the battlefield. Even young cadets, some barely out of school, flew daring reconnaissance missions that outsmarted veteran Concorde commanders. News of human victories spread across minor worlds. Propaganda from the Concorde tried to paint humans as reckless, undisciplined, and doomed. But evidence, undeniable and clear, showed humans winning against overwhelming odds. Colonies once loyal to the Concorde began sending secret messages. We support Earth. Humans are different. They inspire hope. The shockwave of humanity's rise grew. Entire sectors of the galaxy whispered the same phrase, never underestimate humans. On Earth, the reaction was electric. Celebrations were quiet but powerful, as every citizen realized the scale of what humanity had accomplished. Commander Armin Vera's death had sparked this uprising. His spirit, the courage he displayed, and his belief in humanity's potential had lit a fire that no Concorde weapon could extinguish. Admiral Khan, reviewing reports from the front lines, realized something important. We are not just fighting the Concorde, he said. We are changing the galaxy. Other species are watching. They are learning that strength is not always about size or history, it is about heart, courage, and determination. And the Concorde, for the first time in their long history, began to fear the humans. They had not faced a species like this before. A species that could innovate faster, adapt quicker, and unite completely against an existential threat. The Concorde's previous assumption, that humans were insignificant, weak, and irrelevant, was being shattered with every strike, every tactical victory, every liberated colony. The shockwave spread farther than Earth's fleet could reach. Minor species started to send messages of support. Rebel colonies requested Earth's protection. Even neutral civilizations began to question their alliances. Humans had become a symbol, a beacon of defiance in a galaxy ruled by fear. Back in the human command room, Admiral Khan addressed the fleet. This is only the beginning. We have shown the galaxy our strength, but the Concord will not stand idle. They will come for us. They will try to crush us, and we must be ready. But remember this: no species, no empire has ever faced humans united, determined, and relentless. We are the storm they never saw coming. Lieutenant Singh, preparing for the next strike, smiled. Let them come. They'll learn the same lesson as everyone else. Humans never give up. Humans never surrender. And humans always fight smarter than anyone expects. The galaxy had felt the shockwave of humanity's rise. From minor colonies to the far reaches of Concord-controlled space, the ripple of fear and awe spread. Humanity's victories were not just physical, they were cultural, moral, and symbolic. The Concord's overconfidence had sparked the galactic awakening of a species they once dismissed as primitive. Humans had proven that intelligence, unity, courage, and determination could challenge even the most powerful interstellar authority. And as Earth prepared for the next phase of conflict, one truth became clear to every species watching. The age of human inferiority was over. The age of human ascendancy had begun. Admiral Tariq Khan stood on the bridge of the Horizon Vanguard, eyes fixed on the holographic display. Thousands of enemy vessels moved like a single organism, vast and terrifying. He turned to the fleet commanders. They have numbers. We have courage. They have experience. We have ingenuity. This is our moment. We strike not just to survive, but to show the galaxy what humanity can achieve. Lieutenant Maya Singh adjusted her helmet, scanning enemy movements. They've underestimated humans every step of the way, she said quietly. Let's remind them why that was a mistake. The battle began with a thunderous exchange of fire. Energy beams lit the void of space like distant lightning. Shields flared, ships maneuvered, and explosions ripped through Concord cruisers. But humans fought differently. They did not rely on sheer power. They relied on strategy, creativity, and the element of surprise. Gravity pulse weapons destabilized enemy formations. Cloaked strike drones infiltrated heavily defended zones. AI systems predicted enemy tactics and coordinated fleet movements in ways the Concord could not anticipate. Human ingenuity turned their supposed weakness into a devastating advantage. On the front line, pilots performed daring maneuvers that defied expectation. Lieutenant Singh led a squadron through a tight asteroid field, using the rocks as cover while launching precision attacks. Enemy ships scrambled, unable to adapt to the unconventional tactics. Each strike, each maneuver was designed not just to destroy, but to demoralize and confuse. Amid the chaos, heroic figures emerged. Commander Armin Vera's protégé, Captain Rina Solis, piloted a modified interceptor through enemy lines, disabling weapon systems and saving dozens of human ships from destruction. Her courage inspired other pilots, showing that humans were fearless even when outnumbered. Meanwhile, engineers aboard the fleet support ships continually repaired damage, recalibrated weapons, and modified strategies in real time. The Concord relied on rigid command protocols, but humans adapted faster than any system could predict. Every setback became an opportunity. Every loss a lesson. Across the battlefield, small colonies liberated by humans sent support ships, providing reinforcements and supplies. Minor species, previously oppressed by the Concord, joined human ranks, tipping the balance ever so slightly. Humanity was no longer alone. They had turned adversity into alliance. The Concord High Council watched in disbelief. Their massive fleet, trained for centuries, was faltering against a single species. They could not understand it. Humans were smaller, less experienced, and far younger than any other galactic civilization. Yet here they were, defying every expectation. From the observation deck of the Horizon Vanguard, Admiral Khan addressed the fleet. Remember why we fight. We fight for Earth. We fight for every human who believed in courage over fear. We fight because the galaxy underestimated us, and that is our greatest weapon. Humanity does not surrender. Humanity does not falter. Humanity prevails. The fleet roared in response. Every ship, every weapon, every pilot surged forward with renewed determination. The battle reached its climax near a vital star cluster. The Concord attempted a final, overwhelming attack, concentrating their forces to crush the human fleet once and for all. Yet humanity responded with brilliance and bravery. Using gravitational distortions and precision strikes, they broke the Concord's formation. Ships collided, shields collapsed, and Concord vessels that had never been defeated were destroyed. Captain Rena Solis led a daring assault on the Concord flagship, weaving through a storm of enemy fire. With precise calculations, she fired a sequence of energy pulses that disabled the ship's core systems. The flagship faltered, its control disrupted. For the first time, the Concord fleet wavered. On the ground, on Earth and other allied colonies, people watched live feeds. The impossible was happening. Humans were winning, not by luck, not by sheer numbers, but by determination, intelligence, and unity. The galaxy's perception of Earth was changing forever. The Concord realized, too late, that their overconfidence had been catastrophic. Their attacks were repelled, their formations broken, and their fleets scattered. The humans, small in number but mighty in spirit, had changed the rules of engagement. As the final Concord ships retreated, Admiral Khan issued a single command: hold position. Do not pursue recklessly. Today we have proven humanity's strength. Tomorrow we secure our place in the galaxy. In the aftermath, humanity had achieved the impossible. They had faced the most powerful interstellar authority and emerged victorious. Minor colonies pledged loyalty, technological exchanges began, and human reputation skyrocketed across the galaxy. Yet even in victory, humanity remained vigilant. They had learned that power could be challenged at any moment. Their fleet would continue to strengthen, their colonies would be defended, and their ingenuity would always find new ways to outsmart the galaxy's greatest threats. Commander Armin Vera's spirit lived in every pilot, every engineer, every citizen. His sacrifice had sparked humanity's rise, and now the galaxy knew the truth. Humans were unpredictable, unstoppable, and worthy of respect. The Concord, humbled and shaken, had no choice but to reconsider their approach. The galaxy had been shown that underestimating humanity was a grave mistake. And humanity? They had just begun. President Lena Malik addressed the world once again, her voice steady and filled with pride. Today, humanity has proven to the galaxy, and to ourselves, that we are capable of anything. We are strong, we are united, and we will never bow to injustice. Commander Armin Vera gave his life so that this moment could happen. His spirit lives on in every human who fought, and in every human who believes in our potential. Across the galaxy, minor colonies and allied species sent messages of congratulations and support. Some had long chafed under Concord rule. Some had doubted humanity's strength. Now, every corner of the Milky Way that had once looked down on humans was forced to recognize their power, intelligence, and determination. On the battlefield itself, Admiral Tariq Khan reviewed the fleets. Human ships were damaged but fully operational. Repairs would be made and the fleets would grow even stronger. Every engineer, every pilot, every strategist had performed flawlessly. Humanity had turned disadvantage into opportunity and fear into strategy. Lieutenant Maya Singh flew through the star cluster one last time before returning to Earth. She gazed at the stars, thinking of all the lives lost, the sacrifices made, and the courage displayed. They thought we were weak, she said quietly. They thought we were small. But humanity, we rise when it matters most. That's who we are. And she was right. Humanity had risen. They had faced annihilation, betrayal, and an overwhelming enemy. They had faced a species that had executed one of their greatest envoys, expecting fear in return. Instead, humans had mobilized, innovated, and conquered. The Concord, humbled and shaken, began to send envoys to Earth, not as conquerors but as negotiators. They understood that humanity was no longer a fledgling species. Humans were equals in every sense, intelligent, courageous, and unafraid to defend themselves. Diplomats from across the galaxy came to Earth. They observed the united species, the cities rebuilt, the fleets repaired, and the determination that radiated from every citizen. Humanity had earned respect through action, not words. They had proven that even a young, primitive species could rise to challenge and even overcome the most established powers. Commander Armin Vera's memory was honored across Earth. Statues, memorials, and stories celebrated his courage, his dedication, and the spark he had ignited. Every pilot, soldier, scientist, and citizen carried a piece of his legacy, the belief that humanity could overcome impossible odds with ingenuity, unity, and heart. But the victory was not just about defeating the Concord. Humanity had changed the galaxy itself. Minor colonies now felt hope. Oppressed species realized that rebellion, courage, and alliance could work. Humanity became a beacon, proof that size, history, and perceived weakness did not define strength. Admiral Khan addressed the fleets one final time. This war is over, but the galaxy is just beginning to know humanity. Let them remember this moment. Let them understand our spirit. We fight not because we want war, but because we will never accept injustice or subjugation. This is our place in the galaxy. We have earned it and we will defend it. Across the cosmos, humans and allies celebrated together. Former Concord colonies now aligned with Earth. Technologies were shared. Communication networks were opened. Humanity had not only survived, they had reshaped the balance of power. In quiet moments, citizens looked at the stars and wondered what would come next. The galaxy was vast, full of mysteries and dangers. But humanity was ready. Every human understood a simple truth. They were resilient, clever, and united. No power, no council, no enemy could underestimate them again. Commander Armin Vera's sacrifice had started this journey. His death had been a spark, humanity's response had been a blaze. And now, that blaze burned brightly across the galaxy, lighting a path for a species that had been underestimated, dismissed, and doubted. The final message was clear, echoing from Earth to the farthest star. The galaxy may have underestimated humans once. Never again. Humanity had triumphed. They had earned respect, allies, and recognition. They had proven that even a small planet, a young species, and a single spark of courage could change the course of history in the stars. And so, as fleets returned home, colonies rejoiced, and the Concord re-evaluated their policies, one truth remained certain: humanity would never be second-class again. They were a force to be reckoned with, and the galaxy had no choice but to acknowledge it. The stars shone brighter that night, reflecting the courage, ingenuity, and unity of one small planet that had dared to rise. Humanity had awakened, humanity had fought, and humanity had triumphed.